welcome to my channel. So the headphones are making an appearance again today because I still haven't got the sound quality fixed on my phone, and today's video is going to be mental health related and all about psychosis. So this is something I've battled with for a few years now and was definitely made worse due to my previous substance abuse issues, and it's something I was also predisposed to anyway. You'll notice in the title it says my own experience because symptoms are going to vary from person to person, so I just wanted to talk about my own battles in this video. It was a very scary time for me when the symptoms started because I didn't know it was psychosis, so I genuinely thought I was just losing my mind at the time. So my aim for this video is to hopefully reassure you if you're going through similar experiences, and also maybe offer you some tips that will be able to help. So the format of the video will be, first of all, discussing the symptoms or warning signs that I find that I get when I'm about to enter a psychotic episode, and then discussing some of the potential causes of psychosis, and then I finally want to lead on to some sort of personalised, tailor-made tips that I follow that not only reduce the intensity of the episode but also the frequency that they occur. Before we dive into the video, I just need to say that I've experienced both the drug-induced psychosis and non-drug induced, so purely down to mental health, and there is a big difference between the two, and it's really important for me to mention that. The main difference I found is when it's drug-induced, it is literally impossible to identify that you're in an episode, so you fully believe the delusions and the hallucinations, whereas when it's mental health related, there are some steps you can take to help. So this video is designed not to help with drug-induced psychosis, just purely mental health. However, if you would be interested to hear stories about drug-induced psychosis in another video, then I can talk about that topic because hopefully it will be enough to put you off for life. So let's dive into today's video. So first of all, these symptoms or warning signs. So one of the first symptoms that I get is twitching. So I get twitching in my shoulders, in my face, with my hands a lot, moving them around, just general looking agitated. I'm very aware when it is happening, but I'm not physically able to stop it, so I don't try and suppress it because it's not something that's in my control. There's a funny clip on The Big Bang Theory that always reminds me of this, and I'm not trying to say whatsoever that Sheldon's suffering from psychosis, but I'm just going to insert it just for a little bit of light-hearted fun because it's a serious topic, so we need to be able to laugh or we'll cry.
Why do you insist on attempting to drag me into matters which have nothing to do with me, but exist between you and Penny, a person to whom I barely speak?
What's wrong with your face?
There's no reason to bring my looks into this. Good day, Leonard.
What?
I said good day.
Okay, so the next symptom is speech. So it will come out very rapid, very unorganized, and my sentences will come out as a blur, and it will just flip from topic to topic with no relevance to what I was talking about previously. So an example of this could be, oh, I went for a run today, you'll never guess who I bumped into. Do you fancy a takeaway for tea? Where should we go? We could try that new Chinese restaurant. Or how about a posh doner? Oh, did you see the football game earlier? Basically, it's just like my thoughts are going so quickly, it's a buzzing in my head, and I just have to get them out as quick as I can in whatever order that may be. Okay, so another symptom that you've probably heard spoken about quite frequently is hallucinations, and there's three kinds of hallucinations that I've experienced, which are visual, auditory and tactile. So with the visual hallucinations, I can see shadow people, but I was informed that this could be due to my false eye because that's something that can happen, and they told me that when I got that fitted, so I don't know if that's linked to psychosis or not, but the other two definitely are. So with the auditory hallucinations, I've got a very firm example of this one, and it was when I was running the tap to run a bath. And as the tap started running, I heard two of my family members screaming at each other, and I was like, what on earth is going on? So I went running to check what it was, and there was nothing going on at all. They were just sat watching TV. So I was like, well, that's a bit strange. And then went back in, turned the tap off, and then didn't hear anything. Turned the tap back on, and then the screaming started again, but it was just so vivid, and I could hear the words they were saying, but they definitely weren't, because each time I went to go check, there was nothing going on, and they certainly wouldn't have been joking around with me. So that was one of the first auditory hallucinations I got, and it really creeped me out at the time. And then the final one is the tactile hallucination. So that's like the sensation of things on my skin. So I before itch my skin till it's bled. I get really agitated and start itching and then get sores and things. And another time I was convinced that my bed was riddled with bed bugs. It wasn't. But I'd spent about, it was about 4 hours, and I was just frantically cleaning my bed and cleaning my sheets, and it's like something that you would do on drugs, but I wasn't. I was just so convinced that they'd got everywhere and that I could see them. And then once the episode had passed, that sort of sensation went away, and I realized that it was purely due to the psychosis. Another common symptom that you've probably heard about is delusions. So they can sometimes be positive delusions, but that's more when it's mania than psychosis. So like I'm on a personal mission from God, or I've got some kind of superpowers. But with psychosis, some of the negative ones I get, that my mind is being controlled by someone, so like thought control, and that I'm being made to do things through someone else directing me, or also that I'm an experiment that was put here gone wrong, which would explain some of the horrendous things that have happened to me in the past. Now, what I will say with the delusions is I am able to get through to myself a little bit that it is psychosis, and even if I'm believing it at the time, I know that it will pass. I just want to give a little tip actually about what to do if you are with someone who's experienced a delusion. And what I would say is, don't argue with them. It's pointless, because it's just going to invalidate how they feel, and it's probably going to cause a bit of confusion. So it can be tempted to try and persuade them that what they're saying is not right and all that. But what I'd say is maybe just go along with it, or just reassure them. Just speak to them as you would normally. Don't treat them any differently. Make sure, of course, that they're staying safe. But if they believe something that's relatively harmless, then there's no need to argue, and that's what I would personally suggest. So another one is lack of concentration. So unlike with mania, in psychosis, I can literally find it impossible to concentrate. And I think one of the main reasons for this is because I've just got so many perceived threats going on and so many sensations and things that you just cannot get your brain to focus on one particular task. So like I said, I can't do laptop-based work, but one thing I am able to do to get around this, because I like to keep moving just to feel occupied, is to focus on something, say like cleaning, for an example. So I'll just pick a task that's really simple and easy. So it could just be like doing the washing up, or maybe sweeping the floors, or giving my room a general Sam up, as I call it. And that can help, because I know obviously that the episode's going to pass in time, so it feels good to be getting something productive done, and even slightly being able to distract myself from those thoughts. So pick something simple, something that doesn't require you to think in like a sequence, and just see how you go with it. So the final symptom that I want to talk about is a very unpleasant one, and that's feeling suspicious or paranoid. And that's something that I do feel during psychosis on occasion. One example I've got of this is with my own dad, which makes me really sad to say, but I was convinced that he was a clone and that he wasn't my real dad. So I started demanding that he answer a set of questions that only he would know personally. So I was asking him, like, what's the date of my cat's birthday, and things like that. What's the name of the street that I grew up on? And in all fairness, he didn't question it. He just answered the questions that I asked, and that did really help reassure me. So if someone's feeling suspicious or paranoid, it could be difficult not to get frustrated with them, but just try and reassure them, because when my dad did with me, it really, really helped. Another thing I get really suspicious about is that my food has been tampered with, and that can be really annoying, because it can completely put me off eating when I feel this way. So it's like, I'll say like, oh, I think someone's spat in it, or that someone's handled it like with dirty hands. So when I'm preparing food, I have to have a completely clear space, and I don't get like takeaways and things like that, or I don't accept food off other people during psychotic episodes. I like to make it myself and know fully what's going into it, and make sure that I'm the only one that's handled it. I'd be interested to know in the comments actually, does anyone else get this with psychosis, with the food thing, like a germ phobia going on? Because that started probably over the past year or so, and I found it's been getting worse and worse during the episode. So I just wondered, does anyone else get that? So we've discussed the symptoms, so what I want to do now is just read out a list of possible causes, because I thought this could be helpful for the video. I've got it typed out just there, so it's information that I've taken from the internet for this one, because I wasn't sure of all the causes myself. So I'll just read through a list. So it could be schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, severe depression, traumatic experiences, stress, Substance abuse, definitely, been there, got the t-shirt. Alcohol misuse, and also side effects of prescribed medication. So now I want to move on to the final section of the video that I hope that you will find helpful, which is tips to help with a psychotic episode. So I'm going to start off just with a couple of obvious ones that you'll be able to find from doing research online, but then also some tailor-made tips that I've made for myself that you probably wouldn't be able to find by doing research, but you could try and implement to see if they help you. So the obvious ones: take your medication, so your antipsychotics or whatever it is you're prescribed. Only take prescribed medication, note of course, and don't abuse it, because if you do, then it will lose its effectiveness. CBT has also been proven to be helpful, as well as talking therapies. I don't know if DBT helps with psychosis or not, but it's helped me with a lot of mental health issues, so I just want to throw that in there too, and I've got a video all about that on my channel if you want to watch it. So now on to my own tips. So the first one that I've got is catch it early. Now my worker a while ago gave me a piece of invaluable advice, which was you rate the severity on a scale of 1 to 100, and when you hit a 30, that's when it's time to act. So if I was to hit a 30, that's when I would either take my backup medication that's there to help me, or use the tips that I'm going to share with you now, and make sure that, because if you leave it too late, what's going to happen is it's going to snowball, and then it's going to be really difficult to get a grip on it. So a really important tip, and I know it sounds cliche, but it's sleep. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep. So I know that can be easier said than done, so I just want to offer a bit of insight into how I make that work for me. I suffer from manic episodes, so that means I'm not able to get the required amount every night. So a way that I work around this is I keep a sleep diary, and I work out on average how much sleep per week I need. So if I was to miss a few hours on one night, then I'm able to make it back up on another. And what I do is I make sure that I keep track of this and I look over it. So if I am falling a bit behind, I can catch back up, and then I'm going to be at less of a risk of entering a psychotic episode. So yeah, maybe that could work for you. Another tip to help with the sleep, so I listen to something called ASMR, and I've been listening to it for years before it was even a thing, and it's literally the most relaxing thing ever. It can be a bit weird if you don't know what it is, but it's basically like different sounds or people talking in like a really soothing voice, and there's literally a video out there to suit anyone, whatever your preference. So definitely look into it, because ASMR has helped me get to sleep. Like I think I listen to it every single night. So another tip, different to sleep, it is rest. So I used to think that if you're getting your 8 hours of sleep a night, that's fine, and you can just stay active for the whole entire day and you don't need to take any downtime. Now this is not true, and I've realized now that you need to take time out in the day for recreational or rest or social time. So here's how I structure it to make sure that I'm taking that time for myself. So I learned about something called the 3 Ps last year, and this is literally how I structure my day now, and it is such a good piece of advice. So the 3 Ps stand for practical, purpose and pleasure. So you basically want to split your day into those 3 sections. So things that would fall under practical are things like running errands, so like paying your bills and doing your food shopping, cleaning, that kind of thing. Stuff that falls under purpose is things that you do to better your life, really. So for me, it's like self-development work, or working on my book, or doing gratitude and journaling. And then pleasure is the things that personally bring you comfort and joy. So you might want to FaceTime with a friend, or you might like to do a bit of colouring, that kind of thing, or just watching TV or your favourite box set. So if you can split your day that way, then you can't really go far wrong, trust me. The reason that this tip personally helps me, and why I wanted to mention it, is because now that I'm not just go every single day, all day, and I take that bit of time for recreation and just to enjoy myself, it really has helped lessen the frequency of my psychotic episodes, because it's given my brain that time to rest just during the day. So I like watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and that's what I do for my unwind time. It's a brilliant show. So another tip to tie in a bit with what I was just saying is laughter. And I'm talking about those genuine belly laughs that make your sides hurt. Now, the reason that this really helps me when I'm in a psychotic episode is because it's a feeling that kind of grounds me and it brings me back to reality, and it's a feeling that I really like. So what I do, like, say for example, if you've got a one-liner that just cracks you up completely, like tell that to a family member and do that kind of laughter where it's just completely free, like you would as if you were a child, you know? And I find, yeah, laughter really is the best medicine, and that's helped me a lot. One time I remember laughter working so well for me is one time my dad, he asked me a question. It was a very simple question. I can't remember what it was. And I just went, oh, I don't know. My brain is pickled. So he just looked at me and he went, well, why don't you have some cheese with it then? And it was just, to say I was so agitated before that, I just burst into laughter, and it kind of helped snap me back into reality and just take away those unpleasant feelings, even just for that brief moment. So yeah, laughter, 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 trust me. So another tip that you might find helpful that I've started to implement now is to just relax into it and don't try and stifle it. I found that if I was trying to act like I was okay when I wasn't, it was making it worse, and then I was just getting worried about how I was coming across. So now I just explain to people what's going on, obviously that I'm not doing too great, and it just takes away that sort of panic of, oh, how am I coming across? How do I look? What are people thinking? Don't worry about it, you know, it's a mental disorder, you're not to blame, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. So here's just an example from my own life of when this has actually really helped work for me. The last time I was struggling quite badly, I had to go to the corner shop. I really needed to go, I had no choice. And I wasn't doing very well at all, and you know, I was quite deep in psychosis. And the person behind the till, who I'm friends with, they said, are you okay? And I said, no, not really. And then I just explained to them what was going on rather than trying to hide it. And once I did that, and they offered me some sort of sympathetic words and some words of wisdom as well of how to sort of calm myself down, I literally, when I left the shop, I felt probably maybe 50% better than when I went in, because I felt accepted. And also it takes away the paranoia of, oh, well, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? Because honestly, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be. So once you alleviate that and just relax into it, I think it does help it pass a lot quicker and make it less distressing for you during the time that it's happening. So the final tip that I've got is to avoid overstimulation. So what I mean by that is, don't try and push yourself to go to places or do things that you know are going to be difficult or potentially traumatic for you, or that you're just going to be pushing yourself too much. Because in all reality, you're much better off staying in a safe space and a comfortable and familiar environment until the feeling has passed. So an example here of when this hasn't worked for me, and this is how I've learnt this lesson, is me and my dad, we do the Asda shop weekly. And it was a while ago now, but I was suffering, and we thought that by getting myself out the house and then doing this shop and feeling like I was being productive in that way, it would help. And it really didn't. So the bright lights of the supermarket, all the people bustling around, all that kind of stuff, I was literally like shrieking out loud. It just got too much, and we hadn't taken my backup medication either, so it really wasn't good. By the time we got to the till, I'd convinced myself that the woman there was like launching the shopping at me, when in all reality she wasn't. It was just because there was a queue, so she was trying to keep it moving. But for me, it was just it caused a complete meltdown, and it took me the entire evening to even start to calm down after that. So it just so wasn't worth it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're much more comfortable, say in your bedroom, or just like with a friend that you find particularly comforting, then spend your time with them. Don't push yourself to do things that you feel like you have to do, because you really don't. It can wait, and you don't want to make things even more difficult for yourself. Now, I've really just got to add this one in the end, and I know this is an obvious one, but I've got to say it. Stay away from drugs, and be wary of alcohol. So I'm not trying to preach at all, that is not what I'm trying to do here. But say, for example, because I know alcohol is legal, right, but and some people can drink and it's all fine, but I know people that when they drink, it really does cause them a lot of issues. So what you need to do is be responsible and assess honestly to yourself, am I okay with this, or is it going to exacerbate it and make it worse? Because you see, the thing with alcohol is it is known to make anxiety worse, and obviously with cannabis, with paranoia. So I would say really it's up to you to assess that. Do the pros outweigh the cons? Is it worth it? Is it not? That's not for me to say, that's for you to decide personally. So that brings us to the end of today's video. So I really hope that you found this even a little bit helpful. I've been nervous about posting this one because I don't want to come across like I've got all the answers, because I really don't. You know, I have these battles myself, and these are just things that I do that help. You know, even if you take 1 or 2 points and they work a little for you, then that makes me feel happy that I've been able to have some kind of impact. Please leave a like if you did find this helpful, or drop me a comment just to let me know your thoughts. I would like to do some more mental health related videos in the future, so if you were to leave a like or subscribe, then that will help build my confidence to do future videos. So yeah, nice comments always make me smile. Take care and see you in the next one. Bye.